Hello, traders. It's 8:04 a.m. Chicago time on Monday, the 19th of July, 2021. This is the Monday after triple witching. I want to remind you that derivatives trading is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. This is episode number 2036. There's a lot going on today. I'm going to try to do this as quickly as I can so you can get back to focusing on your trading and your trading prep. Right now, this is the status in real time. The S&P is down 52 and a half points. Monday is looking good. It's looking good in terms of potential opportunity and activity here. The S&P down 1.23 points. The laggard today is actually crude oil. Crude is down 3.33%. Crude is trading September expiration at 69.13.14. This is a result of a concern of oversupply. Oil prices fell sharply after OPEC Plus overcame internal divisions and agreed to boost output, sparking concerns about a crude surplus. That's where that stands. So crude is is taking it on the chin a little bit. Then comes the DAX, and then comes the Russell and the Euro stocks. Euro stocks 50. These are all products that are way down. The Nasdaq is still hovering better than 1% down. It's the strongest of the indices the major indices that I follow. Silver and copper are off, gold is off, and we're seeing allocation to safety there. Short allocation to safety there in the 10-year and the 30-year U.S. bond to notes and bonds, and the euro bond also taking an uptick. Bitcoin still flirting with the 30,000 level. Ether holding at 1,800. The S&P has traded 425,000 contracts currently, which is well above the one standard deviation over the last 252 days for the overnight stats, which is at 310. So we have an unusually high amount of volume coming in, but also the range, which sits at 37 and a quarter points in the overnight session as normal, as the limit of normal, is being exceeded by 20 points at 57 and a half points. The S&P point of control is 4287 and a half currently, and the overnight inventory is 99% short. 99% short. Strong risk off day today, so pay attention. Good day to be glued to your screen, of course, with reasonable breaks and so on and so forth. As far as earnings, we're in the middle of the big part of the earnings season. Big techs this week releasing. IBM today after the market. Other than that, we have U.S. NAHB housing market index at 10, Japan inflation and core inflation at 7:30 Eastern, and then the China loan prime rate for the 1 year and the 5 year at 9:30, and that is all she wrote. Looks like I lost my chart for Friday. So Friday, the overall expectation was for the market to pull back and to start to push higher, which was absolutely not in agreement with what the market wants to do. The secondary expectation is that it fails to do so. The expectation on Friday was it would push to 82, 84, and start squeezing higher, and it did not do so. We ended up Friday with a selling day immediately. So Friday looking for a test of 71 early on scenario 2 and a push down as far as 42, That was way, way, way off. Seeing the open drive right off the get-go provides a big clue. Here's what Friday looked like. As you can see in front of you, a very small opening swing there, about 3 points, which immediately started the selling on Friday. This is a 4-tick Renko chart, bringing us back into the range. Again, the prior day's high is the dark green at 60.75. We dipped right in. And what we saw, the first opportunity that we saw on Friday is the attempt to push back above the VWAP RTA the RTH VWAP and RTH mid, and not being able to get back out. That was a very, very weak retest of getting out of the range. So it's actually right here. Right here. So what I would expect is it would push to the full session VWAP, which is this line right here. Full session VWAP. And then I would look for a bounce. This is common. The first test of the full session VWAP, generally we get at least a scalp-ish bounce. And we expect it to push, and what we see is it's completely unable to get back out of Thursday's range before it pushes down into the full session mid, which is this blue line, and then it comes back, retests the VWAP from below. This actually triggers off a setup, which happens to, lucky enough, push through. So it gets through, gets us into the 45, and it's completely unable. The rotations up were very, very poor. Those of you who are in the CT Head Trader channel, I warned about being long. I said caution longs multiple times, saying we're looking short side only. We've left our opening price above us. We're back into the prior day's range. We expect a full test of down into the 45 low volume node, which was beautiful right here. Pulled back from below, unable, and then it starts to look like it is basing, and it may start to push higher. This was my first warning right here to the shorts in this situation, and that ended up failing as well, and it just got choppy until it gave in to the end of the session. The session ended up closing at the low end of the range. Very, very bearish, relatively bearish action here. We did leave the point of control at the upper distribution. This area here becomes really key, 43.40, along with the 50.51 area up here, and then of course the 71 above. Friday, we did have one decent up rotation, but other than that, the up rotations were quite poor. The delta was negative all day and somewhat trending. In any case, we closed the day, and remember, my closes now, the RTH or the pit session, the pit doesn't exist anymore. The RTH session is now the same as the cash session, so your chart may look different. It might have closed different, I don't know. But in either case, we're walking ourselves down into the 4,300, and we closed near lows on a Friday afternoon. This is not likely to work out too well for the longs. And here's how we reopened. We open back up. We have a very tight open that breaks below. And then we just don't look back. We have a multi-distribution profile with a point of control right at the low of the range. This is really important for this morning, for this morning's action, because what we have now are very clear areas to test. So I'll draw these boxes. These boxes here become significant for today. This one is a little bit wide, and you'll notice that the boxes coincide with the low volume nodes. And so what we want to monitor this morning is it responsive? Does it turn back up? Does it make an attempt to go back up? If it does not, then we're really not able to find those buyers. We're below the 4287, which is a key area. 4287 right here is an MC point of control, and from a week ago or 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, and we are below it. So we have a fair amount of resistance above. Look, the market has had one of these moves, many of these moves in the past. It makes a V bottom and it turns back up, but it still does respect and it still does pay attention to major points of control above, MC points of control above. So today, I'm sorry, I need to clear my throat. I come in here really early and it's really quiet and I don't talk to anyone, and then I do the trader bite. It's like, I haven't talked to anyone all morning. And it's my throat doesn't cooperate. So what I'm saying here is that unless we see an open drive higher or an open test down with a drive that follows higher, I'm only sticking to the short side for structured trades. Longs will be scalps looking for imbalances in the order flow, quick short-term pops. But other than that, I'm looking again. This is not a trading plan. I'm not inducing you to trade, but to me, the opportunities to the short side, clearly we are below last week's low. The one-time framing on daily was broken last week, and it looks like we are in the mode of repairing structures below. So we've left settlement and close well above us. And again, I repeat, we have pretty decent resistance above, pretty decent areas to lean against for short tests. Especially this VWAP area is of interest to me, up into the 4287, which coincides with the MC point of control. So that's the plan for today in terms of what to pay attention to. Where's my composite? Here's my composite chart. This represents one RTH session per bar, RTH only. And you can see last week we left the 4371 above. This is going to be an important area to keep track of or to remember once we get back up here. Here's the 4287. The 4287, this was from 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, actually. Sorry, hang on. From 3 weeks ago, and it may present the first resistance area. It's a weekly low plus the point of control 87, so I'm expecting some resistance on a push up. We have pushed into the 56. We're pushing into the 56. The overnight low is at 63 right now, so we have a little bit of room there, but we have a much bigger balance zone. Let me erase this. We have a much bigger balance zone that we look to be wanting to get back into. And remember that balance point of control, 4172, that would be the big target. But we're talking 100 points away here. But this would be the big balance point from a while back that starts back in April and ends near the end of June. And that would be the balance point. That would get us under the 50. That would get us under the 20 SMA on the daily and bring us back into balance. Pay attention to 4250, 4250, 48. This area here, this is likely to be a clear line of defense for the buyers. I would expect there to be a battle in this zone. There's a gap there. I would expect us to have a pretty decent fight if we start to push through. So am I contradicting myself? No. The overall picture is It's likely to be somewhat responsive, but I'm expecting that gap to remain open today, and I'm expecting better flow to the short side. But if it does try to push through 4250, just be aware that this is an area you want to scale out of, scale ahead of in a short position. Be aware that this area may cause turbulence as we push into it. So expected initial support there. It is basically the top of this big balance zone right here. This is the big balance zone. Okay, it's the top of it. And as we break in, it puts 4172 right on deck. It makes 4172 as a probable test area, and it runs us through this thinly traded, poor structured week back here at the end of July, where we just ran and ran and ran days and days and days. We have a gap. You can see the gap right there. And this week here, the template week that we would get into below 4250 is pretty poor. So if it gets through 4250, we're likely to see it run a ways, okay? And then the next area below that will be 4220, and then 4204, 4204, or 4200 becomes the next big price, okay? You can see volumes picking up, and the range is picking up. These are clues that this may see some continuation, right? There's some adjustment or reconfiguring of portfolios going on, and that's what's expected. So looking at 4250 here on our heat map, not much there. Surprisingly, but that may change as the market opens up. Not seeing significant areas of volume that are holding us up here. The market's trading very well in both directions. We do have a descending line here that's about to be broken in a very short term. There was some the resistance that is breaking on the very short term. I'm expecting that it's likely to push through and retest this 71 through 73 area in the 4200 handle. That's different than the 4371, of course. I'm looking for this. This is starting to look to me like flow is coming in. You can see the prints, the buy prints coming in, these dark blue prints coming in, and this looks like it's likely to become responsive on the open. We'll see how that works, but overall we have a market that is pretty consistently and persistently pushing lower. I mean, it's tough to fight this. So we'll see how it opens up. Having had triple witching, not quad witching on Friday, having had that today, we may see a difficulty in the market supporting prices, supporting equities. So we'll see how that plays out. But you can see that there's a lot of activity down here. You can see the little shadows there. Those are big prints in the background. Important for me to see in the order flow. You can see these ghosts. I'll call them ghosts for now, or contrails. These tell us that there's increased activity in this area, so we're likely to see one side or the other losing it. The overall delta, very clearly negative. This is a very negative overnight delta. 17,000 to the downside is pretty negative. Okay, we don't see it drop and become this negative very often. Let's not compare that to the pandemic, but overall, it doesn't look like it is likely to see support. And you know, the battle here, you can see in the order flow again, the battle is every time it pops, it immediately drops. We have a nice little pop here. The next bar just drops right off. So anyway, that's all available, of course, through Edge Pro X, but you can always pull the data from Rhythmic or CQG and do your own analysis. But overall, I'm expecting that the market is likely to try to respond as it always does, and it's likely to have a hard time doing so. So let's take a look at what's expected for today. We are already below 1 volatility sigma for the close. And so it's these levels are going to look very, very tight. When volatility expands like this, the levels are likely to look pretty tight because pretty thin. I want to say pretty tight because some of these levels are day-based levels or intraday-based levels. And in this kind of environment, the OTF or the higher time frame, the big players in the market don't really care about, we're running stops. It doesn't really care about the day levels. Notice that VWAP in mid kept a lid on buying on the pullback. You got to seeing that early in the session means we need to pay attention for when it turns back. And again, 42.87 is a key area. This morning, I'm looking for an open auction that pushes the overnight low immediately for the overnight stat. I'm looking for it to respond back, have a hard time at the 87. Let's draw that in here. I'm using thin lines because I'm starting to find the thick lines are too thick. 87 over here. And then we're looking at the double O area, and then that brings us to the 15, 43, 15 area. These become key areas to test. If it becomes, if it pulls back to 4,300, I'm expecting it to have a battle, to have a fight, and then stop right there. I'm expecting a lower high, lower low. I'm expecting value to move lower. I'm expecting sellers to be very happy to step into trades right now. So the secondary is a immediate response, again looking for resistance in this 82 to 87 area, in this box right here, in this portion of the profile. I'm looking for resistance in this area, and then it lets go with an impulse, looking for somebody to start liquidating, and then boom, it starts to run away. And if it runs away, we're looking for 42.50 to give us a hard time on the sell side. I'm looking for support there, but eventually it is likely to break through, and if it does, I'm expecting it to push down into the 30s, 36 down here, 36 for the bounce, and that gives us plenty of range. We're opening in a gap. Gap rules apply, and it's a pretty wide gap, right? The gap, the low of Friday is 14 and a quarter. That's the low of last week, 14 and a quarter, and we are trading at 42.67. So we are, what is that? 70 points away, I guess, or something like that. So I'm not expecting it to make the gap close today, but I do expect it to be somewhat responsive because everybody's bargain shopping. Given the environment that we're in technically, everybody's bargain shopping today. Everybody's looking for strong but beat down stocks to buy. And just pay attention to your techs. The NASDAQ is relatively strong compared to the other indices. Remember that. So we expect some measure of support in the market. The NASDAQ or the techs have 27% or so of the S&P 500. You should know that. And if they do, and they're relatively strong, be careful, look for a pop higher. Resistance in the NASDAQ is right at the 14,600 area, 14,600 area. Above there, it is likely to run right quick into the 14,700 area today. So be careful there. Anyway, a lot of talking. Good luck today, and I'll catch you tomorrow. Watch your risk. If you're not watching your risk, then you might as well go gamble. Okay, good luck. Watch your risk today. It's one of those days where emotions are going to run high. So just be aware of those and don't respond to your anger, excitement, greed. Just follow your plan. Follow your process. This is where your process is going to be tested. Good luck.